So, moving on to the race discussion, and we will be starting with was we talk about practice because it was a slightly unusual week this week, wasn't it? The fact that there was
no Friday running.
No Friday running. And I was off Saturday, which was quite nice. Can't say the same about Sunday, unfortunately. But I managed to watch the practice session, hour and a half of 20 cars flying around the track. It's quite exciting. I really enjoyed it. There was some interesting strategies going on because usually you have two sessions on the Friday to get your long runs, get your short runs, get your qualifying pace like kind of ironed out. But you had an hour and a half on a Saturday and every team was very busy.
I think it's a good way to run proceedings. We've spoken before about whether or not we should get rid of Friday practice. And I think both of us were generally quite favourable towards the idea just because it introduces more uncertainty. This showed that it did mean that teams had to get more preparation into a shorter period of time. And it also showed in the race result that experience as a driver in general was key to putting in a good performance, as we saw from Hamilton and we saw from Raikkonen and Vettel as well.
Yes, absolutely.
And so a lot of the more experienced drivers were able to put in those good performances on an unfamiliar track. I think we spoiled last week that Raikkonen's the only driver who's actually been on this track of the entire grid. And so I think it was important in a way to have an even greater level of uncertainty going into this race, because there was a risk that the race could be a little procedural, and Hamilton warned of this.
He did straight after. Was it qualifying? It was, yeah. He was. He did say, "I fear the race will be a little bit boring."
Yeah, because the track is so narrow in so many places, and there's not a lot of overtaking opportunities. So, I think it was good that they had that limited running before qualifying, and I didn't really see much of it myself, but what I did see, like you say, it looked pretty exciting, trying to get them to cram all of that testing in one little phase.
Absolutely. Sky Sports, interestingly, made comments on just the Saturday running, like they would do. They take a little bit of news and they run with it for hours and hours on end. But
yeah,
obviously, I think a lot of us as fans would quite like the idea of just seeing a Saturday running, because it really throws up scenarios in the race when you've got limited run time, especially if a Saturday morning was raining and the race was dry. Imagine that would be crazy. But it also takes away a Friday from fans who can't afford to pay, the hundreds of pounds or hundreds of their local currency for a race day or qualifying. And actually Friday's the cheaper day. And actually Friday, you probably get to see more cars on track because you've got two practice sessions. Might be able to walk around the whole track like you can do at Silverstone. You can just walk around the perimeter, have a look at different corners. And sometimes it's only accessible on a Friday. So I can see it from both ends. Sky Sports mentioned that actually maybe some tracks which we go to which don't have a huge crowd gathering on a Friday, why don't we scrap that and then just run on Saturday and Sunday? But your Monacos, your Monzas and your Silverstones, where there's a huge gathering on a Friday, run a 3-day session. Run a 3-day weekend. So potentially moving forward, it might be that some races are 3-day weekends and some races are 2-day weekends. I'll be quite happily have that happy medium. So fans are happy and fans who go to the track are happy.
I think you're right. There can be a sort of balance struck there, I think.
Absolutely.
And it's a good point that, Friday is important for people who want to get a view of it if they don't necessarily... going to a Formula 1 race is very expensive. And being able to come in on the Friday where it's quieter and you can just wander around the track, it's a bit more leisurely.
And it's a full day experience. Like, I know you got support races and etc., but you go on a Friday, you can turn up at 8 a.m. and you can go home at 8 p.m. and you get a whole 12 hours there. There'll be a couple of support races, but normally you get to go in and out of not necessarily the paddock, but you get to see drivers walk up and down, have a chat to them. You've got autograph sessions. That all happens on like a Friday. So, there's pros and cons, and I can see them both. So I'll happily support either way moving forward. But yeah, Saturday morning was the normal practice session, and then we move on to qualifying.